Welcome once again to yet another version and show, 6 Blocks Apart. Yeah, you note the tone of surprise in my voice when I say that, 6 blocks apart. Today we have two very special people. This lady, well, let me run into all the sides of the resume here. She's an activist, a spokesperson. She's a singer. She's an actress. She drives a tow truck. She doesn't drive the tow truck anymore?
No. She gave that up.
And to cap it all off, she got a very famous daddy. Please welcome Shari Belafonte.
Hello.
And hang on, I didn't give him a lead in. You know.
Okay.
You have to say hello to
This
Shari.
guy, well,
This part will be short.
This guy I had the pleasure of working with on General Hospital back when the show was different.
Careful.
I gotta be
Back when people watched television.
Sam Behrens, come on down.
Welcome, you guys. Thanks for joining us
Thank you.
tonight.
Yeah.
Sammy,
Glad to be here.
we worked together. What years?
Yeah, we're not exactly 6 blocks apart. We're more like 60,000 blocks apart. We're in Simi
Where
Valley.
are Where are you guys?
Simi Valley.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, that's
Well,
not
Mark,
too bad.
60,000, something like that.
A little more than 6, but that's okay.
Sam, what years did we work together?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I know, it's a stretch.
It was somewhere around 85. And I don't remember, it was in 81 to 85 or 80 in the middle of 85. It was somewhere around there.
I got a feeling it was around about 83 that we started to work together.
That could be.
I'm not sure when it finished.
I don't know if we are, but yeah.
Is anything really ever finished?
Yeah, really.
When it's that many years ago, 2 years doesn't really make a big difference.
Right.
Yeah, really.
I know when you start thinking about the 80s or the 90s, and they seem like not that long ago, but it's like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
40 years if you're going to 1980.
Yeah.
It
I
doesn't
know.
seem that long ago to all of us because we had so much fun back then. It's so
Yeah.
very prevalent in our minds.
What are you talking about? I'm having fun now.
I know, but still, we had some fun back then.
It's the only accessory you need to get through this.
Well,
It's true.
that and a swimming pool,
Yeah.
at least in the desert.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, we have a swimming pool, but the only one that goes in there are the owls and the hawks and one of our dogs.
It's almost like our house.
Yeah.
We have
So
dogs.
how are-
Sam, the only time Sam went in the pool is when it was empty and we were repairing it.
He's like, so this is what it's like. Nice.
A couple nights ago, and it was literally Melissa had just found out that she was going to be our guest, and I'm looking for something to watch on Netflix, and I had just watched Roman Holiday. It was the first time I saw it, and then I wanted something totally different, so I'm like, genres. I put LGBT on because I am gay. So,
Oh, are you?
well,
You are?
why do I pick
You're
that?
what?
I'm watching a movie, and it's really interesting, the storyline. Then all of a sudden, there's Sherry as a doctor.
What was it?
What the hell movie was that?
Say yes,
Oh, I know what movie that was.
and it was recent. It was in 2019.
Right.
Oh,
What's it
Yeah, it
called?
was short, and she has cancer, and her twin brother becomes his lover.
Yeah, and she fixed him up. No, this is why it's so bizarre, because the guy, his wife has a terminal illness with cancer, and so she's not going to make it. And she fixes her husband up with her brother. And that's literally what the movie is. And they're like, well, we're not gay, but if you want us to get together, okay.
Oh my gosh, it's hysterical.
But then all of a sudden, here you are, it's the doctor. And it just, I'm like, you know what? That is so funny. That just,
And now I just did a number of episodes on Sister. Tyler Perry's doing a show called Sisters. I play a Marine, a woman who is a Marine, who's a sharpshooter, who rides a Harley. And I have, I had the short hair with the dreads. You guys have seen the dreads before, but the dreads were on. They shaved the sides, and and I smoke a lot of pot, and I sleep around, and went to Coachella with Beyonce. That's the character.
Being close to Shari, it was not surprising that she would play that part.
oh,
How did
And
you
you
guys
also,
meet? How did
you went
you,
to-
Sherry and Sam, how did you meet?
So we
On a
met,
movie.
In a movie? What movie
Yeah.
was it?
no, never mind. Never you mind what movie it was.
She's like, no consequence.
It was
Yeah.
a movie.
It was
Well,
that good.
something good came out of it.
Everything, yeah, I was gonna say, we met. That was the
Yeah.
important thing on that movie.
All right, there you go. Got it.
No, actually, we met some really cool people on that. It was a Paul Leader movie, and I don't know if you know who Paul Leader was. He's passed away now, but his daughters are Mimi Leader and Geraldine Leader, and Geraldine Leader is a casting director, like head of senior VP at Paramount now, and her sister Mimi actually is the executive producer and the director of The Morning Show, which is the other show that I'm on with Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, she's got
So-
2 shows now.
Yeah, so I'm
Well, you go-
not right now. I don't.
Well,
Yeah. We're busy.
Yeah, but it took a long time to come back to this point. So now you're sort of sitting going, I was just getting started again. Is it going to happen? Is it going to, ever come back? And are they going to still want me? Am I going to still be alive? That's the other thing.
Are you going to want to do it after this?
Well, no, I'll definitely want to do it. The question is, are they going to want to do it?
Right.
And
and I said to her, don't you worry, it would take a pandemic to get you off that screen.
be careful what you wish for.
That's great.
That is fun.
And a couple of years ago, you were on General Hospital, right? Were you the DA?
Yeah.
He's the DA now.
Yeah, I handed that job down to me.
I was the
from
mayor.
I went from police commissioner to district attorney, no law degree, nothing.
You don't need one on GH. I was the mayor. I was the evil mayor.
Oh, you were the mayor.
That's right, I remember.
Okay.
Now.
Now, what's funny is Tyler Perry shoots like a daytime show. He shoots 120 pages a day,
Wow.
nonstop, no rehearsal, basic blocking. And when I say basic blocking is you come in the door, you sit in that chair. Okay, everybody, and action. Seriously, I swear to God, I'm not. And he shoots 5 shows. He shoots in 5 show blocks. He shoots like we used to in the old days. He does 25, 26 episodes a season as opposed to the 8, 9, or 10 that we do now.
Right.
wow.
5 shows in blocks, and he'll shoot everything that happens in my daughter's apartment. 5 shows, and then everything, they'll move the location to the next, her store, and then they'll shoot those 5 episodes in the same thing. So, and they shoot them out of order. So if you think working on GH and all the daytime stuff was crazy, this is like seriously crazy.
Yeah. That makes
This
sense,
sounds
though.
like a place that I work at.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I went to the opening of his studio, right? To the party, the big.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
amazing.
I bet.
The studio is bigger. I think it's supposed to be bigger than Universal and Disney combined.
Wow.
Wow.
He's got 12 sound stages, but he's got, I think it's 4 or 5 back lots where he's built the entire White House on one of the lots for his show called The Oval, and it takes place in the Oval Office. And he's got like a whole town that's got shops. He's got the town that's the brownstones apartment buildings, and he's got the little kind of remember the Designing Women? Not Designing Women. What was the one with the Desperate Housewives? I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that kind of block. So he's got 6 or 7 houses of those. He's got brownstones. He's got towns. He's got everything.
Oh,
And when you drive onto the lot, it's meticulous. There's not a blade of grass or a flower out of place. It's crazy.
And the kicker is that the studio is the land that used to be the Confederate Army's, was it barracks or training?
Base. It was a Confederate Army base. He's built this black studio on top, so there's some graves. I mean, people rolling around in those graves.
Where is the studio?
Atlanta, just 20 minutes outside of Atlanta.
Ah, okay.
Wow.
Bobby can go.
And they're opening up, so I won't be surprised if he decides, he's going to go back to work soon, because Atlanta's pretty much given the green light to say, yeah, what the
Oh,
hell?
that's right. Yeah.
And that's the whole irony in life is, he may have just built it at the exact proper time where he becomes like the mogul of.
Well, he is, that's what.
Oh, I
was
know
just
he
gonna
is,
say
but I'm
that,
just going to say he's going to be.
No, but what's interesting is that he wasn't just shooting his shows there. There were people that were booking those studios. Every one of those sound stages was booked when I was there shooting It was last July that I was shooting my episodes.
Wow.
And you know, like I said, it was crazy. Sam and I went in for the party, and the party was nuts because he was anointing all the sound stages, and each one of the sound stages was like the Will Smith sound stage, and the Spike Lee sound stage, and the Harry Belafonte sound stage, and the Sidney
Aw.
Poitier sound stage. Everybody, and Denzel had one, and Oprah had one, and everybody who was alive, except for Dad and Sydney, because they stayed here, and then Sydney's daughter came to. We broke champagne bottles on it. He had a whole truckload of gospel singers that were driving down while they were singing.
Oh, wow.
And the crowd, everybody who was anybody of color was at this party. I mean, it was insane.
Sherry and Sam, what you do, because they will find it very fascinating.
Oh, Tim.
Me? Oh, I'm a musician, keyboard player, and I've been touring with Rick Springfield for the last 5.5 years. So,
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
speaking of not working, you know, you know, this really huge summer tour, and we had some stuff that I was really excited about, and you know, I don't know for sure, but as the dates keep coming up and getting pushed back, I assume that's not going to work out so well. But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Did you know Jeff Silverman? He used to play with him way back when. Do you know the name Jeff Silverman? He was a guitar player.
You know, yeah, he's friends with Rick Springfield, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. He played with Rick back in the, you know,
Yeah,
Jesse
I
days.
met him when we play out in
He lives in Nashville now.
yeah,
Nashville.
well, Nashville. All of a sudden I'm like, Tennessee. Yeah, Nashville. When we play out in Nashville, he comes out and has dinner with us. So yeah, I met him multiple times with that.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
met him too. Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know you
He's
now.
a super nice guy. Yeah.
Nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm reading about all the work that's been cancelled under me so far. I didn't even know half of these jobs I'd been booked for.
Oh,
But
really?
now I'm reading, oh yeah, this one's been cancelled. That's been cancelled. No, you won't be going to Chicago. You won't be going to Florida. You won't be going here. I'm going cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. And it gets expensive.
And Teresa's going, oh shit, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my God, he's still home.
I'm tethered here.
I'm like, what? Another 7 weeks of you not leaving the house.
I know.
Well, yeah. I mean, she's gotten used to me being gone about 100 days a year, give
Yeah.
or take.
So, yeah, it's hard.
that's
I'm used to him, you know, okay, I'm going to LA. All right, bye.
Down at the door, smack you in the ass.
Let me
Yeah.
help you pack. Let me walk you out.
But
I
Sherry,
can't start missing you until you're gone.
you live out kind of in the country, right? You're not in where you're at's pretty rural, right?
For us?
Yeah, you're pretty.
We're up in the rocks. We're up
Yeah,
in the
you're up
hills.
like on the
We're up in what makes the San Fernando Valley. We're in the North Hills. It's
Mhm.
actually West Hills, but
Weren't you by the fires?
Yeah.
we are smack dab in the middle of all of those fires.
I remember you
Lindsay
telling me
Canyon
that.
is 1/4 mile right below our kitchen window.
Oh,
Right. I remember you telling me that. You told me you had packed up the dogs or something.
Mm.
Our
Yeah, just
dogs,
in case.
we have a Ford Escape, and it stays packed with the dogs' crates and the kennels and dog food, and like the crate that we have to have that has the insurance and all
Right.
the house papers and stuff, and like
Smart.
my smattering of jewelry, and we're on 24/7 when those fires come up.
Yeah.
And what happened with the Woolsey fire and then Porter Ranch, and we were right in the center, and they were coming at us from all directions. And we just kept
Scary.
knocking on wood, going, oh. And it lasted for weeks. It wasn't like you have 3 or 4 days you have to worry about it. I mean, I think it was like 6 weeks that we were going, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
on loud. And the alert, it's like an Amber Alert. Those our phones.
Oh,
start,
yeah.
you
Oh,
know, warning. You're going, oh,
right.
sweet.
Did
Yeah,
you
one
get
of
any
the five.
smoke damage?
No, none this time. One season we had the fire come right to our door, and I was here. Sherry was out working or auditioning or something, and it became pretty obvious it was time to get out. And so I packed up the dogs and I left. It looked like I went down the hill. It looked like a war zone.
Wow.
That was very close, and we had some damage.
Mm.
But we do live in a stone house, so
Oh, that's
our house is rebar and cement. And actually, the fire department comes and parks because we have a gravel driveway, and the fire department comes and sort of stations at our house for the
Wow.
Oh,
rest
that's
of this
nice.
canyon.
So you've seen the Three Little Pigs story. You know how that works out.
Up and down.
You're such an activist, and I know that you love your animals. How many dogs do you have now?
We have 6.
You do have 6. Oh, okay.
We have 6
Oh, that's
dogs.
like us once upon a
Yeah.
time.
It's like
Yeah.
We're down to 1.
Oh, I know. And by the way, I every time I think about it, because 3 of ours are going to be 16 in July.
Oh, wow.
In June. So we're kind of going, eh. But the good news is they act like puppies, and the vet who even, docked their tails when they were first born, she said, if I didn't know these dogs personally, I think they're only like 4 or 5 years old. So whatever you're doing, just keep doing it.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
you think, what about you guys as parents to these dogs if 3 of them are 16 years old?
3 are 16, 2 are 14, and and the youngest one is going to be 6.
What kind of dog?
We were breeding miniature soft-coated Wheaten Terriers.
Oh,
What's that?
We're the first ones that did it, and the Wheaten breeders are not happy with us, but the vet, who actually is the leading breeding vet in Southern California, she was the one that recommended, and we did. We got sperm from all the males, and we have it frozen. And the idea was to actually create the breed. But the responsible thing to do is to watch them and see how they grow before you start just cranking out puppies. And there's so many dogs that need to have homes that when people are saying to me, "Oh, I want to buy your dog," let me take you to Best Friends Animal Society and get one of those.
right.
And Sam and I had also planned that if and when we started selling them, we would make part of the proceeds go to the animal shelters as well.
Aw, that's nice. Oh, wow.
Well, I've mostly had mutts, but I did, as a child growing up, we had a standard poodle, and then the first dog I got as an adult was an Afghan hound. And the other day I was thinking, I really loved both those dogs. I wonder what it would be like to have a breed of the two. I didn't think one existed, and it does. It's called the Poogan.
What?
Poogan?
Wow.
A poodle,
Yeah.
Afghan, Poogan.
Poogan.
And it's an Afghan and a poodle.
How does that look?
Very interesting.
Because Afghans have the straightest hair, period. They just, hangs
fall
out.
nice.
And so to poodleize it.
So it was
it's weird.
actually almost like a relaxed perm.
I was going to say, probably had like a nice kind of
Long,
wave
like
to
an
it, right?
Afghan.
I have to pull that up.
Yeah, I know. We gotta look at
Yeah, I was
that.
going to say, I want to see that because
It's a
what's so
little
funny about
broader
that
than an
dog would be-
Afghan. Changing the subject, if you want a good pancake, you got to call Sherry.
Yes,
Why?
I heard about that. The time we couldn't make it to Vegas, I heard that you cooked breakfast for everybody.
wild rice pancakes, I think.
Ooh.
We had
Wow.
wild rice
I mean-
pancakes. We had French toast. I'm wearing my Anika Brown chef's jacket as a matter of
Oh,
fact.
there you go.
Anika, it's gonna love
Oh,
that.
that's a
She
good
sent me
ordered-
something. Teresa, she told me you just ordered like a caftan, I think, from her.
I did, yes.
I ordered
Waiting
a
for-
kimono for a male friend of mine who's having his 65th birthday. And so I said, you got any kimonos for men? She sent me all the pictures. So I'm waiting for that. That's going to obviously take a moment because she's got
I'm getting my golden mask here tomorrow.
Oh, right.
Oh, nice.
My older sister is making shui shui cloth masks.
Oh, is she?
And shui shui is an African print, but all the African prints in the shui shui cloth actually look like viruses.
Oh,
You have to put it in
So
gold leaf
I want to
first.
ask you, what was it like back when you were doing Hotel? Because I used to watch you on Hotel.
Oh my God. Who can remember that far back? That was
can.
before Sam and me. that was, I was only supposed to do the pilot of that show. And
Oh, wow.
I flew up to San Francisco because we were shooting the pilot. And Betty Davis, I don't know if you remember that, because really she only did the pilot. She was supposed to be Mrs. Trent, the woman that ran the hotel. And she ended up getting sick. And of course, Ann Baxter took her place, which was kind of weird, like All About Eve.
yeah.
Very
Right.
About Eve. But she was the one that said to Aaron Spelling that he should hire me full time.
Wow.
So I was only supposed to do one day. And what was so funny about the day that we were shooting, we actually shot the pilot at the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco. And we
Really?
were shooting from midnight till the schedule was midnight till 6 a.m. I think, because then the hotel, of course, was still working, but they figured they could get all the night shots done. And people who were checking out of the hotel thought that Heidi Bohe and I were really, the girls at the counter. they were throwing their keys at us going, send somebody up to get our bags. I was like, oh, yeah, all right. That's going to happen, dude.
Oh my
We're right
God.
there with you.
I love that.
Yeah.
That show was the beginning of my career.
Right.
Your
Sort
many
of.
careers, though. You are
Great
a
So
show.
lady of everything. You're this
But was-
Renaissance woman.
Was the show before the covers of Vogue, or were the covers of Vogue before?
I did a couple of guest parts, like, I don't know, now this is really going back. What were they? Sheriff Lobo, Different Strokes. As a matter of fact, I just got 6 cents from Different Strokes. It aired the other day.
6 cents.
There's like a 6 cent, like a residual check, like a old time. I think the smallest one I ever got really was 1 penny. And you're sitting there going, really? Can't we make an account somewhere where any check that's 25 cents or under goes into an account?
Yes.
Right.
And that way, by the way, I totally let SAG and AFTRA recoup the interest on those accruing pennies, so that at the end, you get one check that's for $122 from all those
Right.
1 penny to 25 cent checks you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes too much sense. That'll never pass.
Oh yeah.
But Hotel was one of those moments that I'll remember fondly. But there were a lot of downsides with working for Aaron Spelling.
No,
Oh,
no, I can imagine.
Things that were pitched to him that were shot without me. And he also wanted me desperately to do a show called Velvet, which was the worst show on the planet.
Never-
Velvet. It was 4 aerobics instructors who were spies. It was kind of like, yeah.
Well, but that's so
I already love it. I already love it.
Yeah, sure.
And
But
then
that happens every day.
you had to do
Otherwise known as 4 Sexy Women in Tights.
yes.
It's very difficult, but yoga.
And then you had to do shows like Love Boat and any of the other Fantasy Island, any of the other shows if you were available to do them.
Oh, wow.
So it was truly, while it wasn't my introduction to the entertainment industry, because like you said, I've been in it all my life. It really was one of those, oh God, this can really be nasty at some point. There was a moment where I was supposed to work with an actor, and I'm supposed to kiss him, and he had a whole herpes virus outbreak.
Oh God.
And I went, well, I'm not going to kiss him. And the director was, yeah, you are. And I went, no, really, I'm not.
way.
When you're 22, 23 years old, you're going, is this going to break my career? Am I going to suddenly get the reputation for being a bitch? And, guess what? I got a reputation for being a bitch. Because I was like, no, really, talk to the hand. I ain't doing it.
Right.
No, I blame you.
Have a breakout.
Yeah.
Ugh.
No breakout. Good for you.
But, there were a lot of those kinds of stories, the Me Too stories. I had a lot of, because really at the time, there weren't a lot of cute young women of color that were making headway. I was, because I was very light skinned and I could wear the wigs. And so I was acceptable in the 80s. But
You were cute. You were beautiful.
well, no, but my point is that as somebody of color, I was working more than a lot of other people of color because I was light skinned.
Right.
Well, okay.
And, and I had
I'm going to throw this out there, but do you think your dad's name helped?
sometimes yes and sometimes no. Because what happens with
Good
people
answer.
who are offspring of other celebrities is that the entertainment industry wants you to fail. They want you to be terrible. They want to be able to talk about you. They want you, they do not give you any respect or support. Not everybody. There's a lot of people that want you because of that. But by and large, I'd say 85% of this industry wants you to just be terrible, and they want to be able to talk about you. It's
That's
not a safe
sure.
place, it's not a safe haven for people of
Sherry,
who are scions.
do you remember?
And so, and when there were things where casting couch issues came into play, I, again, being in the industry all my life, went, can I say the F word? It was like, no, not really. No fucking way. I'm not doing that. Not interested in going to harm you. I'm not going to do this.
Good for
But I
you.
didn't work. Then suddenly it was like, all right, bye-bye. And there's a lot of parts that I lost because, I wouldn't play that game.
Well,
And
is
that's
that because your personality, or just you knew,
I'm a
or you
sailor.
just didn't?
Sam will tell you I'm a sailor.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll say I fell in love with the man of my dreams and married her.
I
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh,
Our son, by the way, is a huge fan of your dad's, and our son is, well, he's 29 now. I got to think about it.
Wow.
He just turned 29, but he's an old soul, and he played your dad's out. We have actually albums and a turntable in our house because of our son, but he and I would dance around to your dad's songs in the house all the time. So he's gonna freak out when I tell him no.
that's so
Tell him Harry's hanging in there. He's 93 and
I
still very
looked at-
cognizant,
Okay.
knows what the hell's going on, and he's not happy about most of it.
Yeah.
Well, that makes him reasonable, yeah.
So where does he live? Where does your dad live?
Manhattan. He's doing really well for somebody who's 93 because he
Yeah.
truly has all of his gray matter. And that, I think that's actually kind of sad for him because he does have all of his gray
Yeah, because
matter.
now he's really
He's going, oh my God, this is so fucking worse. And he said, you think civil rights was a problem? This
Oh, really?
is a problem.
Well, I'm sure he has a lot to say because he was amazing as an activist as well. So he's probably chomping at the bit to get out there and do something, or at least.
No, he's kind of done. At
Yeah,
93,
he
he's like, you know, really,
tired.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Although he did ride in the, he was the
oh, that's right.
Grand Poobah at the gay parade in New York City a couple of years back.
I love that.
Wow. Amazing.
Sam and I are like all about animals and dogs.
Good for you.
And I do work with the Lily Claire Foundation, which is for children with neurogenetic conditions like autism and Down syndrome and Williams syndrome. And they're out of Las Vegas. And actually, my friends who live in Las Vegas, I don't know, have you guys seen, especially you, Garrett, remember, you know, have you seen the streets of Las Vegas lately?
It's-
Jessica and Keith, who you met, they came. She
Right.
sent me a picture of the strip.
Yeah.
It is empty.
Yes.
It's just
Sad.
surreal. I say it's a 80s bad sci-fi movie.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? It's my dad's movie, The World, the Flesh, and the Devil.
No, there you go.
You guys haven't seen it. He's the last
I
man.
can write
on
that down. What's it called?
The World, the Flesh, and the Devil.
Okay.
The last
And it's a
time.
pandemic that happens, and when he happens to be
Put on
caught
a movie
underground.
night, Melissa.
It's a movie night. As a matter of fact,
It
it
is
was
a movie
supposed to
night.
be a movie night for Turner Classic Movies where they have their big party, and they had invited me. It was supposed to be April 29th, April 18th or the 25th. I was supposed to go to, you know, present the movie,
Oh.
and they had to cancel it. But it's
Yeah.
it's Harry's the last man and the only man on the planet for the first 20 minutes, and then suddenly Inger Stevens arrives.
Okay,
I
we
can't
have
wait.
to watch that.
Yeah.
You have to watch it. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
And they shot it in Manhattan, in New York.
Oh.
And there's a whole scene where he's walking down Wall Street and there's not a living thing anywhere.
Wow.
Sounds
And
like
all
not
the street
living.
lights are the same color. And, you know, when I said to him, how, you know, because people are going to ask how they did that, he said the mayor at the time was totally down with it. He wanted to promote New York. So they gave them a 20-minute block period where they could just shoot this scene of him running down Wall Street with absolutely nobody and nothing else in sight.
Yeah, that's
What
crazy.
year
This
was
is
that?
back in 1950, in the
Yeah,
early,
amazing.
mid 1950s. You know, Sam's got a story because you guys are talking about Brooklyn,
Yeah.
and I'm putting him on the spot here because his
Uh-oh.
parents. Do you remember? Because you were from Brooklyn, right? There was a place called the.
Colonial Mansion.
Do you remember the Colonial
No,
Mansion?
and my dad's from, and my son lives there, so I'm not familiar with Brooklyn. There's
Sam's great uncle owned it.
Well, it was a family thing. So 2 great uncles and 1 great aunt, they owned it together.
And they had 3 stories or 4 stories?
3 stories.
So one time they could have Tony and Tina's wedding, an Italian mafia wedding happening on one floor, while some wealthy Jewish guy was having his kid's bat mitzvah on another floor. And the stories that he has, I went, if you're not writing this and making it a fucking thing,
Wow.
please,
And
this
is
is what
he?
he should be working on, right? Look at that face. Look at that face. She totally
writing this down. I'm
Taking
gonna-
notes.
This has to happen.
Yeah.
still
It
there.
was.
Oh.
It was a show. It had an elevator, and every time you got off at a different floor, it was a different show.
Oh God.
It was a live show happening.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Sam was
Wow.
one of the
I never
waiters at
got
one
to
point.
go. They talked about it, but then I never got to go.
Sam was one of the waiters. Didn't you tell the story about the Italian wedding? And you said all the somebody like went for their.
Yeah, we need to hear
Oh.
that.
Well, it was an Italian family wedding.
God, would it be funny if I knew them too?
And,
Dad.
and in the middle of it all, the groom hauled off and smacked the bride right up on the dais, you know. And right after that, of course, there were gathering on either side of the dais and either side of the dais meant the different families, right? One from the bride's family, one from the groom's family, were gathering at the foot of the dais with, you know, bulges in their sides of their coats. And the guy who was paying for the affair, came over to the head waiter and said, "Get your waiters off the floor." And that's exactly what we all did, gladly. We all ran off the floor. They closed the
doors,
the ballroom, and we just waited, and they worked it out, and everything was fine.
You didn't hear any gunshots, so that's good.
Didn't hear any gunshots, and they all
not
worked
that
it out.
time.
But I realized then the difference. Between Jews and Italians. Because if it was a Jewish wedding, the bride would have held up and smacked the groom.
Yep, there you go.
And the mothers would have gotten into it.
That's
Yeah,
right.
You touched my son?
grandmother.
You think you can get away with that shit?
My nanny would have jumped the heck on that guy.
Oh, that's perfect. That's
Anyway, he's got great stories, and that's the show we need to work on.
I was going to say, you need to
Yeah.
write a book or you do a show. That's, yeah, you have to.
you really
Yeah.
do.
Thank you.
Oh my God, please.
Keep telling him.
I'll promote it for you. I'm not I'm not anybody,
think
but I'll help.
Look,
We had a couple of maintenance guys. One was black, had a deep voice like this, and the other one was deaf, half deaf, white. His name was Artie, and he could barely speak. So you'd have this one guy going, "Take the ladder over there," and the other guy be going, "What?" And it would be Laurel and Hardy, because they would.
Oh my God.
Artie was cool and hip, and Artie was the black guy. I'm sorry, and I keep forgetting the name of the guy who was deaf. But
Murray.
but
That's who you
he'd
want.
always get things wrong, and Artie would always be, you know, doing things wrong to him, but funny things. You know, so if you ever seen Laurel and Hardy, where
Yeah.
Stan Laurel would have his hand on the rung of the ladder, and Oliver Hardy would walk up and step on his hand. Those were the things these two guys would do.
Oh, it's really good. Well,
No, but I'm
after
telling
you
you,
do
this is a
something-
series Sam's gonna beat me up after we go off over here because he's going, really? And I'm trying
Fun.
to put so much into the universe to make him come up with these stories, because this.
No, you really should.
people love New
Sounds
York period
entertaining.
stories.
Mhm.
New York, back in the day, everyone loves it and yearns for that again.
You and I should sit down over half a dozen
Do it.
drinks, trade stories.
Yes, do it. Do it. I mean, even if Tristan knows the Catskills, he played there too. And you guys can,
Oh, really?
yeah, you can combine all
It was
the
way back in the early 90s.
I
I did
actually
a show
have
in New Jersey about October of last year, and it was basically just between me and one other guy on the show. But what he did, we packed it out, and it was in a restaurant. And what we did was he interviewed me. We didn't set it up this way, but he interviewed me and said, you know, what about such and such and such and such? And that just unleashed me to sort of just run away with the story. And it was incredibly successful. And I had 3 more booked. Well, guess what? They went out the window along with the fucking virus. So, but the idea itself works. And you've got the kind of delivery that can make it work.
Yeah.
Because I'm amused by listening to you now, and I want to hear more. And
I want to see it.
when I get up
I want
on
to watch it.
stage with a microphone, you know, I can do something similar, but in a different vein, because my stories are different. They're about, they're about the show. They're about things that the public can kind of identify with, and they saw part of, but didn't know all the bullshit that went on behind the scene. And I fill in the bullshit.
right. There you go.
Oh.
I like that. You
My-
fill in the bullshit.
My name
I
is
like that.
Tristan. I fill in the bullshit.
That's awesome. That's perfect.
But I could
Tim is going to do the score. Tristan, we got to write a character for you.
yes, please, booking you, Sherry.
Oh.
Well, what's interesting, a woman, but I didn't know her at the beginning. Now she and I actually are working on a couple of different other projects. Her name is Stacy Blanchet, but she, about 3 years ago, approached me through my manager at the time she wanted to do just an interview, like a biography interview that was going to take 10 minutes on some internet show. So we set up the interview. We shot for 4 hours at the Pacific Design Center. And about a month later, she emailed me and said, I want to make this a documentary. And I went, a what? So it's now launched. She's got it on the television. I mean, she did it. We did the thing.
Wow.
Okay.
And now, when she said that to me, I went, but I'm not done yet. Why, why are you doing a documentary? I haven't done that much. But then as I saw it, I realized, and as much as I've done, I haven't done all the stuff I planned to do, but there was a lot of stuff. And there's certainly right now a lot of room for stuff to be shown. So it's called In the Know. And, and I was like grateful to see it. And as I saw it after they edited it, I went, wow. Because I know I'm a chatty Cathy. I talk way too much, but even when she edited most of that crap out, it turned out to be, I think, a pretty decent little interesting enough show. Obviously, it was interesting enough that somebody bought it and put
So much for agreeing to do this. It's been fun.
Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you. This was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Stay well.
Take us home.
You
Cheers,
too.
Chris. You
Oh,
gotta
here,
take us home.
cheers.
All right, everybody, this has been a great show. I honestly have never been so amused. And my God, at some other point, if we ever get around to doing a show with Sammy, I'd like to do it again. We sit down, you and I with a microphone, a couple of bottles of wine, and just talk. And that's
Or vodka.
or vodka.
Teresa, you and
that's
me
the
and
show.
vodka. Those two guys with wine. Love you guys. Thank you
Love
so
you.
much.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Cheers.
You
Stay
guys
safe.
stay well.
Wear a mask. Don't touch your face.
All right, we'll try not to.
Which is